my friends and I decided to camp in a dense, bushy forest we hadn't visited before. The trees were so thick that if we ventured just a few meters apart, we couldn't see each other. To avoid getting lost, each of us had a compass and a map. The forest was rarely visited, which made us feel like the mountain was ours. When we arrived at our campsite, a small clearing with a clear view of the sky, everyone quickly got to work setting up. We were a familiar group, so we all knew our roles. The day was filled with jokes, drinks, and barbecue. As evening approached, we sat around the fire, enjoyed music from the radio, and chatted. While I was off in the bushes, I suddenly heard something run away from a nearby bush and vanish into the forest. I was startled and called out. My friends came over, but they didn't find anything. We guessed it was probably a small animal I scared off and went back to enjoying ourselves. That night was uneventful, and we went to bed without incident. The next day, we went exploring to see if we could find a larger clearing. Although we didn't find a new spot, the hike was fun. When we returned to our campsite, we noticed the table had been overturned. We thought it might have been due to the slope terrain. One friend suggested setting up cameras to monitor the campsite that evening. We all agreed. After a fun evening, we went to sleep. The next morning, we were shocked to find the campsite looked like it had been disturbed by someone walking around. I asked if anyone had heard anything during the night, but no one had. When we checked the camera, it was missing. Feeling uneasy, we debated whether to pack up and leave or stay. The owner of the camera wanted to find it, so we searched all day but couldn't locate it. Just before sunset, we finally found the camera. It was a bit damaged but still working. We reviewed the footage and were stunned to see what appeared to be small people dressed like an ancient tribe, inspecting our campsite. One of them even approached the camera, and the face we saw was terrifying. Realizing it was getting dark, we decided to leave. As we packed, we started hearing a noise that sounded like wooden sticks clashing. The sound grew louder, and then we heard voices joining in. It felt like they were surrounding us. I urged everyone to run. As we fled, arrows began to fall around us, but luckily, no one was hit. The campsite was about 1 kilometer from our car, a grueling distance under the circumstances. When we reached the car, we discovered one friend was missing. We waited briefly, but then an arrow struck the car, forcing us to drive away quickly. We reported everything to the police. Initially, they didn't believe us, but they started a search after we showed them the arrow. They also detained us, suspecting we had lured our friend to harm him. The next morning, they found our friend, who was injured but alive. He couldn't be questioned for a few days due to his condition. When he finally spoke, he told us that after being hit by an arrow, he was captured and taken to a sacred place of the tribe. They beat him, smeared his blood on a stone, and chanted in their language. He felt that help arrived just in time to save him. Since then, we've avoided camping in wild areas. We never recovered the camera or the footage. After the incident, warning signs were posted around the area advising people to stay away.